Happy Thanksgiving. Told you guys it's going to be early today. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Blue. Hello to Kelly as well. And Shonda over in Jeffersonville this morning. Adam, I saw your comments. Well, we'll get to that. Don't worry. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you guys are excited about a day to be eating not only the current meals, but days and days of leftovers ahead. Something to look forward to. Normally, this is where I say, I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to the blog, blah, blah, blah. But instead, someone else is going to do it for me. Everyone say hello to Dobie this morning. Dobie? You want to say hi, Dobie? Say hello, everybody. Say hi. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, he'll be getting some treats, I'm sure, as well. Dobie's going to be hanging out with me in the background here. He's very confused right now for the next little bit. And then we'll get back to some of the maps and stuff. Hopefully you'll be able to see it because I'll at times fly up Dobie on screen. Hello, everyone. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. My introduction time now, 19 minutes after 8 on this Thanksgiving morning. Hello to Tommy and to Arlene. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Several folks up this morning. Anyone cooking right now? Because I don't want you to be distracted from paying attention to the oven. So if you need me to, I can be your own personal Alexa if you need me to. If you need me to remind you to check the oven, I'll write it down and I'll remind you. I don't want anything to get burnt. And we don't want any dry turkey like on Christmas vacation, all right? Hello, Cody. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Gary's on. Lauren's cooking. What are you cooking, Lauren? That's the next question I want to know. And make sure you're paying attention. Dobie knows what to do when the camera is on. Dobie is he's a ham. He's a ham, Adam. All right, let's obviously there's a lot to cover. I'm sure you guys are fully aware by now. But there's been a lot of data that's been flowing in during the overnight, early morning hours. So I'll let you know where we stand on that. Some advancements in our thought process have been made, and in other areas, not quite yet. I need a little more time, as I always like to say, for it to cook in the oven. No pun intended. What'd you say, Lauren? Turkey on the smoker, sourdough rolls, and sweet potato casserole. All right, Lauren. If you need the address for the station, I'll send it to you. The timer's got it under control. Thanks. I appreciate that. But if you need any help, let us know, and we'll help you out. I barely opened my eyes, Carrie said. I know. Some of you have been awake for hours. Some of you are like, I don't know what's happening right now. My phone just went off, and I saw snow, and I'm panicking. All right. So let's get into the snowboard, shall we? Let's do that. And while we do that, I'll leave Dobie up. He gets his own box today. Look at that. Dobie, get your own box. So jealous. So is everyone else. All right. On the snowboard, I hope you guys can see that. If you can't see it well, let me know, and I'll try to make it bigger for you all. I'm not sure if you're watching on a phone or a tablet or on your desktop or your TV. I have no idea. So I know probably all of the above, right? On the board, it's full. I can't add any more items than what I got on here. So, hey, I'm not complaining. It's a nice problem to have, right? So the brief snow to rain setup is still there as we head into Saturday, more so Saturday evening, the way it's looking now. And then as we get into Sunday night, this is minor, but it can be sneaky. And that will be some flurries, maybe even a few snow showers that may sneak in Sunday night. More on that, as well as the main one that I think everyone's watching. That's the early week setup for next week as we head into Monday night into Tuesday. And then, yes, yet another one shows up, I would say about a week from today, at the end of next week. So this is a busy, stacked setup. Now, it's worth mentioning, and we say this a lot more in the summer months, especially in terms of severe weather types of setups, but everything has a cause and effect here. So one system will likely impact the next one. And certainly when it comes to storm track, that can be very true in wintry events. So while we've got them all listed here, there's no doubt the three that you see are going below the first one are going to be really dependent on how Saturday's goes. So that's where I want to make sure to exercise some caution, you guys, that's why more adjustments are likely to be had, because the Saturday one, to be honest, is the bigger pain. The others don't seem as bad to really pick out and sniff out an idea. Saturday has got a lot of question marks. And because of that, it's a very uneasy feeling about going into the rest of the list. But at least we'll give you an idea of the chances that we'll be tracking, and just keep checking back in. Once we get past Saturday's event, I think we'll have a much clearer idea, of course, how things will evolve. Fair enough? All right, there's the ice rink, Fête de Noël. Tomorrow night, everyone will be out there on the ice skating. So they're ready to go. They had the lights going this morning. The cold weather has arrived. So they're all in good shape to get things rolling as we head into Friday night. And we have a lot of light up events going on. Light up Bardstown is also tomorrow night. I think Light up Corydon is Saturday, I believe, is Corydon. And then Light up Louisville is the next weekend for Light up Louisville. All right, so currently outside, we've got lower 30s. We've been dropping slowly throughout the entire night. Still a little bit of wind at times moving through. Dover, are you asleep? He's asleep. Okay. You know what? Because he's asleep, we'll come back to him later. Plus, he's a camera hog, and it's all about me. So I'm teasing. Lower 30s outside. Wind chills generally into the 20s with that little bit of a breeze, but that wind will slowly ease back down as we do later on for the day today. So hang tight. Clouds. This is more of a mid to high deck of clouds, made for actually kind of a weird looking sunrise for this morning. Thank you, Shonda. Appreciate that. Light up Charlestown is tomorrow night. Thank you for mentioning that. Appreciate that. Good morning, Ryan Hoke. Why are you awake so early? Yeah, that's Wavy in mascot form. It's the same dog, technically. I call them all kinds of things, but Wavy works. Okay, so clouds in the morning now. We're going to see that thin out as we do later on today, which is good. That will at least allow for a prettier afternoon, but it's going to be a very slow process. It's not going to happen fast, so be aware of that. Just kind of be patient with that idea. But you guys, I think, are aware of how this is going to play out today. But it's one of those cold setups to where the kitchens, as you're cooking today, are going to steam up. The windows in the kitchen are going to be foggy. I think it's cozy, actually. I think that's what I picture as a kid going to Thanksgiving, was the kitchen was always just kind of steamed up in the windows from the oven going on so long and the stove going wild. So that's that kind of vibe we'll have here today with the colder profile that we got in the area. But very pretty look to the sky at times here today, but quiet. The system driving our weather right now is the one located in the eastern side of Canada near Montreal. And that's still providing a lot of lake effect snow, providing still that breeze here today, but a stronger wind still being felt into New York City. Let me take you there. In fact, I think we can go there. Yeah, let's go there live. This is looking at the parade. It's about to begin momentarily there at for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Minutes away, about 4 minutes away from kicking off there on NBC here and on Wave. So I'll try to hurry up so you guys can start watching it. Wind gust potential could get up to about 34 miles per hour, close to that level at some point during the parade. The threshold to not allow the inflatables to be able to fly is 34 miles per hour, which hasn't happened since 1971. As of right now, I think they'll be under the gust forecast that of that 34. I think they'll be able to get it through, but I'm sure they're nervous too, monitoring that carefully. But we'll keep you updated. And of course, you guys will be watching it live here shortly. All right. So that system is going to be slowly exiting stage right as we head through the rest of the day. Then we get in our next system. This is the one that's going to be the thorn as we head into your Saturday, leaving town on Sunday. It's just now entering the Pacific Northwest. So we're just now getting a lot of our weather balloons launched into this bad boy. That will be one of the missing factors that we need to kind of fine tune all this nonsense that'll be moving through here on Saturday. So I think today's model runs will likely lock in a much more of an agreeable sense there. So far, there's still a lot of variance, even this close to the event. There are wide ranges of solutions still coming out to play here, but I think today's runs for the midday today should start to really zero in on one common theme. So that's hopefully comforting for later on today. All right. But that's a system that's already kicking up. Winter storm watches in its track. You can see how it energy dives down to the south. And really the focus will be more over Kansas. But the colder profile will be on the northeast side of the track. And then as it curls up in through Indiana and into eastern Canada, almost a similar spot where the current one's located, that's really where the snow gets really cranked up into areas that already have got quite a bit of snow on the ground from the current one. So lucky dogs. Now, there are no alerts into wave country. And the only change I think you may see later would be a winter storm watch that may get expanded for the rest of central Indiana, maybe around the Wabash. Don't know if it'll go this far south in Illinois yet. Otherwise, an advisory is likely to come out in that zone at the very least. And that advisory, winter weather advisory, could include even our far northern counties. That is possible for Saturday. What is unique about this system, though, even though we're talking about wintry weather on the leading edge of it, it's still a warming event. Instead of a typical cold front moving in, we always say rain ending as snow or changing to snow. This is the other way around. It's the inverse. This is snow going to rain. Typically, in that setup, we do quite well on road conditions, but they lead to more problems on surprises. Don't y'all love that? Y'all love when I say surprises and snow. It can lead to surprises where you can get some areas that can get a nice little thumping of snow, typically more so in the grassy areas, on rooftops, maybe some slush on some of the driveways and neighborhood streets. That can happen, but typically the warmer ground temps and the idea will be above freezing, which is an important thing to mention throughout much of the event. Most of that is going to be a slushy accumulation. So a festive snow overall. But even slush can be a little slick. So it really, at that moment, it matters how much you'll get to allow for any slick conditions. And I still think this is more of an Illinois and Indiana event. And they are in a good spot to have an interesting setup on Saturday. The questionable spot that we're still monitoring is how does southern Indiana and perhaps even I-64 in Kentucky, how does that fare through this event? So let me walk you through it. I'm not going to show you a model run on this. I think, as I mentioned, there's too much disparity in them to really show you, and it'd be too confusing. So I just want to keep this as simple as I can. And I think this still drives home what we're expecting. So the area is going to be very dry here Saturday morning. Now, that will do two things. One, it will keep the radar quiet for us for a good chunk of the daytime period on Saturday. And two, the thermometer will still have a chance to inch upward into the upper 30s and perhaps even touch 40. And that would be roughly around, say, 1 or 2 o'clock on Saturday. But once we get moisture to move into our environment, that begins to go the other direction as far as impact for us. Now you got evaporation taking place that will allow for the thermometer to drop, as we would call wet bulbing down, to our dew point, and the temperature try to come to a common ground in the middle, basically. So that cools the air down. So we could go from around 40 early afternoon Saturday, drop down to about 33, 34. Technically still above freezing, but certainly cold enough to support snow. And that is where we get into that wave of snow that will be crossing in from the west into southern Indiana and far northern Kentucky. Timing on that, it's a very good question, because we never know how fast it will take the atmosphere to fully saturate, and the speed of the system is important too. And we're getting data on that today with those weather balloons being launched in it. Is it ahead of schedule, running behind schedule? That matters, because the amount of moisture rolling into the area, especially moving into the darkness of night, could also play a factor for at least prolonging the snow idea a bit longer in parts of Indiana. So I think Saturday daytime will be a decent day overall as far as travel. I don't see any issues there. In fact, even the Governor's Cup, I don't think you'll have much to worry about at all, other than it's cold. But even that, it's not brutally cold. You can handle it. Plus, it's a football game, so no one's really going to matter. Everyone's going to have a good time regardless, right? But when we get into Saturday, late afternoon, evening, that is when we'll start to get several reports of snow reaching the ground will likely come into play. And your reports, by the way, are going to be very important. So we need your help on that. Use the MPEAN service. You go to MPEAN itself, M as in Mary. Go to MPEAN and make sure you have the ability, if you have radar scope, send in those reports. We can see those and they plot. And Wavy will also pass those reports along automatically on our streaming channel, Wave Weather Now, which is hopefully something you guys are aware of and are watching it. Right now, I'm interrupting it with the blog, but when I'm done, it'll kick back on. But those reports will help us in realizing the true reality of what's making it to the ground, because the radar is only going to be able to tell us so much as we head into Saturday afternoon late. Once we get into the evening, I think we're going to have several reports of snow, maybe some sleet as well, but there will be a very obvious low-level jet. A lot of warm air above our heads is going to be flying in. It's a very strong jet moving in from West Kentucky, surging toward, aiming right into Louisville. And that'll be later Saturday night. So that will overwhelm the colder air and will allow it to change over to rain. We lose the ability to generate a snowflake later into Saturday night. So even though the thermometer will nudge a few degrees into the mid to upper 30s, yes, we may actually rise in temperature Saturday night instead of going back down again. It will be a cold rain. I don't see it freezing up or anything like that. So that's the complex factor of this whole thing, is that warm nose pushing in. That's what we got to figure out, is how quickly does this go back over to rain and end the snow drama for this particular system. There is a chance, and I tried to account for that in our far northern counties. You will be the last to see a changeover take place. Oh, Dobie's moving. Hold on. Is this awkward? Oh, okay, good. So as we head into Saturday night, there's a chance our far northern counties may not change over to the very last minute. And that's where I think you could get some of the higher totals potentially of slush that may accumulate. And then as we get into the overnight hours, it should be all a cold rain before it ends. Sunday morning could end as a few flakes at the very tail end of that, but nothing major on that idea. Dobie, you okay? You okay? Are you my baby? Huh? Are you my baby? Huh? Are you my baby? Sorry, we become 2-year-olds when we have dogs. If you're a dog owner, you understand. All right, so here's where we're going to go with the snow map. And this is going to get fine-tuned, but I think this is going to be just a fair game plan right now. And because some of the modeling is a little more aggressive with the duration of snow lasting longer than others. So that's fair. That's fine. Again, we need some key pieces of data today from the balloon data we're getting around Washington State into Vancouver, and that will help us out on fine-tuning these types of maps here. But I think in general, if you're in Indiana, you could get up to an inch, maybe a hair over that in our far northwest side. But again, this will be slushy. So accumulations on the roads would be more of a slush setup. It would stick easily to cars, rooftops, and trees, grassy areas. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem, especially since the flakes will get larger the more saturated we become. Initially, the flakes will be tiny. Looks like heavy flurries, if you will. That's how the system will start. But as we get a little more into the core of it, as that warm push of air moves in, the flakes will get larger. And then just as they get really awesome, and it's like, oh, that's so pretty, then it goes to rain. So snow lovers, I'm preparing you now. You may get your hearts crushed as the evening wears on there. But for Indiana, you could get a light amount. So not a big snow. And again, it's not even really to a setup that would allow for an advisory. It's because travel impacts would be very limited here. It'd be more of an issue of visibility and whether or not the slush would be deep enough on some side roads to create slick spots. And that is certainly possible. I can't rule that out. But I think that's only going to be a few of you, not all of you. If you're south of Louisville, the warm nose is going to move in quick enough that by the time the moisture arrives, it would already be here. So you won't be able to, unfortunately, take much advantage there of the snow part of it. You could get some flakes. And even as the rain moves in, that warm nose is still moving over us. You could get a little bit more sleet. I think that's fair. I wouldn't rule that out. But majority of that will be rain. And even if you got sleet, it would be something that would not cause an impact on roads. All right, so that's the drama for Saturday night, early Sunday. Any questions on that I can try to answer? Love how Dobie has his own camera. Yeah, he's a star. He wants the bigger box. I know he does. He wants the top one. Doesn't look like Louisville will get the 1 inch at the airport. Nah, I don't think this is going to do it. And again, it's got to be measured 1 inch. And I don't know if it'll be able to accumulate long enough without melting away to get that actual measurement. So there's a lot going against snow for sure. But these types of events, what makes them just so difficult is that changeover process. When you have evaporative cooling in our area, We've had a lot of interesting events happen here with that scenario. And when you cool down, the models don't always get that right. They're guessing right now what the moisture level will be, the dew point and temperature. They're kind of figuring it out now on paper, but we don't have actual verification yet of what those values are. And that's important. We got to know. And I'm talking a couple degrees on the temperature, a couple degrees on the dew point. That will matter. So we need that data to come together and more consensus flow. And then we can give you a better outcome solution, how this is going to play out. But right now, there's a lot of variance on that. So that's why you're getting a lot of wild looking totals. That's why I really don't want to show a snow map from the models, because it's going to change. And some are exciting to look at and pretty, and some are nothing. So it's going to confuse you. So let's just show this. What we think right now is the most likely outcome based on the data we got. And Carson's going to be in tonight. I'll let you know the trends, and I'll be back here tomorrow morning, and we'll go through it again and see where we are. So we have several more updates to go before we get to the event, to where you have a chance to get everything fine-tuned. Okay, good enough? All right, let's move on. Travel conditions. Want to mention that as we get into Sunday, which is now really the busiest travel day of the year now, I think Sunday, this system will be leaving us throughout the day. Still could have some wet roads, especially through at least 10 a.m., maybe noon. If you're traveling around eastern Kentucky, still dealing with rain. Traveling the Great Lakes, they're still recovering from the snow. So yeah, travel delays, even by air, probably going to have some issues at the airports. And now the big cities in the East Coast will start to feel the effects of the system as well. So delays will likely start developing on the roads and by air there as well. What I didn't show here, I don't think I did. Actually, I did. I'm going to show you a different view. Hold on. What I'm going to do to get into the next leg of the system is go into the GFS, because I want to give you some ideas so I can help tell the story. And then I'll show you again where we're at on where our thoughts are with this early week setup for Monday and Tuesday. So let me kind of recap. Here is the the GFS for the Saturday and Sunday event. You see that warm nose. I mean, even the GFS, which does try to hold on to the snow a bit longer Saturday evening, the warmer air eventually does win out, even on that colder bias model. But it's what on the backside you don't see very well. And I had to look at different layers of the atmosphere to find this today, but it was very apparent. There is enough moisture that swings around here Sunday night in that colder flow that it looks like very scattered flurries, or maybe a 1 or 2 snow showers. It looks very light, but I think it's worth mentioning because we will be colder. We will be below freezing Sunday night into early Monday. So there could be a patch or two that could get a dusting some of those scattered flurries and snow showers. So that could be sneaky. Doesn't take much here. Doesn't take much to cause slick conditions. So while it's very minor on the snowfall amount, it's all about the timing of it being late Sunday, early Monday, and the fact that it's not getting a lot of attention that worries me a little. So we'll watch this, see how that will play out. Otherwise, that colder push of air that moves in on Sunday is absolutely key on the Monday, Tuesday event. That rolls out. It's a southern wave, taking advantage of the colder weather. Interestingly enough, a lot of the data during the overnight and early morning today, they all have a very similar look to this. So I could really show you almost any model and actually will look about the same. Can't say the same about the Saturday event, but the one for Monday night and Tuesday, they all seem to come together all of a sudden. Having said that, this is going to be a southern tracker. It will have a warm push of air that will track along its path. But on the northern side of that, that is going to be cold air. And the cold air will vary on depth. The closer you are to the track of it, your colder layer was going to be very shallow. That will lead to freeze and rain. The more you are away from the core of the low, your cold layer will be thicker and deeper. Therefore, it will all be snow. That boundary of how that translates to a very shallow layer to a deeper layer of cold air will be right across wave country, of course. So that's going to lead to a lot of headaches on type. And not only amounts, but type. So this one needs more time in the oven to cook, and especially since we need to get past Saturday's event, because if we have a snowpack on the ground in Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and say central Indiana, the colder flow of wind coming off of that snowpack is likely going to force the storm track perhaps a little more south. And even if it didn't, it may allow for the deeper layer of colder weather, that cold layer, to be a little more south into the system. So your rain snow line could actually, and ice line could be more down in Tennessee. And the rest of that could all be snow. So there's a lot of questions that we don't know yet on how this will be stacked as layering of a cake will be, because we don't know what the snowpack is going to look like yet from Saturday. So that's why Saturday is important. But as it stands now, this is a good track typically for wintry weather in the Ohio Valley and even in wave country. I've seen this track many, many times, and it usually can be a fun event when you see this kind of a setup come into play. All right, so it moves in, moves out, and will stay cold. And then yet another one drops in, and look at that. Looks nearly identical to the Monday night, Tuesday wave. Ryan, I know you're watching. Ryan's got to be excited. That's a snow guest day. It's December 5th. This is December 5th that is showing up for the end of next week. We'll see. I think him and Carson are battling out who's going to get it this year. And then after that, that's where the model ends, but that's not where the snow chances stop. We have another one just beyond this that shows up that's more of a clipper. And then we may get into a thaw mid-month, a minor thaw, but it may lead to more of a rain or even a thunder setup before we go back to snow and cold again. But you want that. You want that to kind of relax a bit and regroup, because that's how you get into an active storm track when you see those ups and downs on temperature. If you just stay cold the whole time, we're going to slowly just transition to nothing but clippers, and eventually everything snow, it's going to be tracking south of us, and we're going to be cold and dry. So at some point, you got to stop this train here if you want to keep things reset to allow, hopefully, for snow toward Christmas, which everyone I'm sure is hoping for, right? So that's the game plan on the modeling. This is where our thoughts are, and this hasn't changed a whole lot. I still think this is a setup that as we get into Monday night and Tuesday, there will be a zone. I'm fairly confident there's going to be freezing rain involved with this. This is a very classic setup of a layered cold dome here that have a very shallow one end and very deep on the other side. That is likely to happen with the system. It's common with this track, and I think we will see it here into wave country. I just don't know exactly where that line will be. So we did kind of a blend of what typically happens and what is likely to trend with the modeling, and we'll just see how things progress. So at the moment, if you're near the river or north, your odds of getting more of an all snow setup are a little higher than, say, northern and central Kentucky may have more of an ice concern. Again, that snowpack from Saturday, if it does develop closer to us than expected, that would push that down more to the south. Exciting, right? I think it's going to be exciting. For you snow lovers. All right, so that's where we stand. Let me show you the 10-day and get some of your questions. I'm going to go with 30s next couple of days. Quiet. That's good. I'm glad it's quiet for Thanksgiving and for the shoppers on Friday. We don't want any weather drama with that, so that's good. We can check that off the list. It's Saturday, and I think the game's going to be okay, so that's good too. I was worried about that. So the game looks dry. Now we got to just see how things trend for Saturday night, and then we'll watch Monday night and Tuesday. I know the kids right now are like, please, please, please let us have an extended holiday weekend. And I don't know how that will go, but hey, I mean, you got to like that outlook if you're a student and teacher. Weather people, not so much. Weather people are like, oh no, that means extra hours. What'd you say, Jonathan? Jonathan's sitting there thinking, great, Dad's talking to himself. Trust me, Jonathan. He's fully aware I do that a lot. Adam, yeah, hopefully I just answered that question, but yes, it's the snow pack. It matters a lot because the wind comes off of that. It's a northwest flow Sunday night into Monday. So that sets the stage. That will lead to a lot of, say, the northern part of that snow area I drew for Indiana for the Monday night, Tuesday system. It would also mean that the very northern part of that would be very, very light, if not virga, where it's not even reaching the ground because the dry air would eat at it. So there is a bust potential on that end too, the more north you are. So I hate that it's like that, but that's just how meteorology goes. That's the frustrating thing about long-term outlook, especially when it comes to snowpack. It's the only weather type of setup that matters like that, right? Where leftovers from one system can affect the next one. This is what it's about in wintertime. They're close together. These systems are only 36 hours, maybe 40 hours apart from one another. So if one's doing something ahead of it that wasn't expected, then that's certainly going to affect the next one as it moves into town. And it's kind of like watching a train wreck kind of come through here. And we just got to be ready and react to it. Chris Evans, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a long time. Interesting. AI model suppressed next week's system compared to the physics model. Yeah, AI stuff. It's its own little ball game. I don't know yet. This is a good test run this winter to see how well the AI models do. But yeah, that one in particular does not show anything, which does not make sense to me because it's an obvious feed of energy coming in the bottom of a cold dome like that. You get that flow coming off the Gulf of Mexico. It induces low pressure. Low pressure will form. So meteorologically, a system's going to form. So it being suppressed so far to the south doesn't make any sense. So if it's right, it's going to score a coup, that's for sure. But I don't see a lot of support for it. Wednesday, the day after all that mess, and I don't know yet. That's a good question. We just need to figure out what's going to happen first. But I don't think we're going to get above freezing. I went colder than a lot of the data that we're getting because models never do well when snow is in the forecast and they warm us up too fast. It happens all the time. So we have to get in there physically on the weather app and take down the numbers for all our locations. You may have noticed that in your location when you look at the app. We had to take everything down. It's too aggressive with warm flows, especially once you start getting snow on the ground in the Ohio Valley. So we had to taper things down a bit. But that's why we get involved. And that's why we do not have AI for the weather app. It's all us. What'd you say, Prelude? Kevin Harnett thinks BG is a sicko when it comes to snow, but in a loving way. I know what he really meant. They have to defend him, Prelude. I know what he really meant. Do you think alert days are possible? Brady, I was waiting for you to say that. Yes. Easy answer. Yes, they are possible. And we may be able to start issuing for at least one of the systems maybe tomorrow. But we're looking at that. We need to get more consistent trends here before we do that. But once our confidence grows, we'll put it out. Everyone else good? I know everyone's asking about Dobie. Dobie, you're still on. Why are you still not paying attention? This is SnowTALK and Dobie Talk. Well, I can't be mean to him. Look at that face. It's too cute. Hi, Dare. What you doing? Oh, sorry, I was moving the camera. Here, let's get back up. Hey, Dobie. Everybody wants to see your face. Let's zoom in all the way here. Here we go. Look at those eyes. That sweet little face. He gets a haircut on Saturday. He needs it. He's getting a little messy there. But you still look beautiful. You still look beautiful. Hello to Jordan. Hope all is well. Yeah, we don't get really days off, Jordan. I love snow, but I miss snow as a kid because I got snow days. They need to bring snow days back for adults, especially for TV stations. Unfortunately, it means we work. What breed is Dobie? Dobie's a Yorkie Poo. Yorkie Poo. And unfortunately, I got him in a situation where he was part of a puppy mill. And he only had a couple of days to live. And I was able to get him and get him into surgery. And it was tough for a while there, but he pulled out of it. And 9 years later, he's going strong. So he's very special in that sense. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. What's the bust factor for Saturday? It's pretty high, Prelude. It's pretty high because dry air could eat a lot of this. And by the time, again, when the moisture gets here Saturday, when does that warm nose, that pesky warm nose, when does that get here? If it gets here, by the time we saturate, it's game over. It's rain. But if it can get here in enough time, as we're still saturating, then you can get snow before it wins and go to rain. It's a race. It's going to be interesting to track. Carson is going to be really stressed out on Saturday. Let's see. Everyone good? All right. Everyone seems good. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I just want to talk to y'all where we're at here on this today. And I just want to make sure to stress again, this is going to be an ever-evolving setup. So please, please, please keep checking back for updates. But we will make you aware of the game plan that we're facing here, and the devil's in the details. So we'll see how this will progress. But you got a couple days to enjoy calm weather, and you model watchers to go stare at models for a while, right? All right, you all take care. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody, and I will see you guys coming up tomorrow morning on Sunrise. So make sure to tune in. All right, take care. I'll see you on the flip side.